Welcome back to Power Lunch. Tech titans, media moguls, and high-profile investors all gathering in Sun Valley with the growing uncertainty around tariffs and their impact on the global economy. Our Julia Boorstin is there as well and joins us now with a special guest. Julia.
Thanks, John. I'm joined now by Casey Wasserman, who runs Wasserman, which is a sports, media, and music agency. And also, you run LA28, the Olympics Committee for Los Angeles. I understand you have some big news to announce on our air today. What is it?
Well, we're excited to announce that Uber has become the official transportation and on-demand delivery partner of LA28 and Team USA. We're lucky to be able to partner with such a global leader in both those categories to make the experience for athletes, fans, officials, and the city of LA much better by our partnership with Uber.
So in some markets, Uber is partnered with Waymo, but there's no mention of Waymo or self-driving cars in this release. What role will self-driving play in this Olympics?
Well, thankfully, we got about 1,100 days from today to opening ceremony, so I imagine it will evolve a lot, but with Uber as our partner, if they think that's an important part and an executable part of the plan, I'm sure it'll be part of the delivery, and we'll take our time to get to that point.
So early Olympic plans pledged to have everyone arrive via public transport to ticketed events. Here you are doing a deal with Uber, not public transportation. What does it say about the complication of operating in my hometown of Los Angeles, which is a car city?
It is, and I think because it's a car city, we have to be appropriate for what our city allows for and embraces. And so let's start with the entire Olympic movement. Volunteers, athletes, officials, volunteers will move by transportation that we provide, which means we will double the size of LA Metro. There's lots more public transportation in LA than there ever has been, and that will be a primary source. But in some use cases, Uber is now a new version of public transportation, not from a cost perspective, but from a shared use perspective. And that's an important part of our delivery. And in the end, some people will still want to drive their cars. We can't obviously control that, but the environment won't be entirely conducive to that, given security perimeters and the unique delivery role the Olympics has in that.
Kelly?
Julia, thanks. And Casey, if I could just pivot you briefly while we have you, just to kind of the bread and butter business, sports management, and all the rest of it that you do. There's going to be a whole overhaul of the NIL system next year. I think you guys worked with Nike maybe to secure some of their early deals. I'm really curious what this new clearinghouse is going to mean in terms of, is there going to be more money going into these deals or less? Is it just going to shift around in terms of the kinds of teams that will benefit or be hurt by it? What are you hearing? What can you tell us?
Well, unfortunately, I think this solution and the announcement is a little premature because to have a clearinghouse that people don't know what it is, don't know how it works, and don't know how things are valued is just going to make a crazy environment probably a little bit crazier. Yes, there's direct pay from universities to students now, but beyond that, I think you're still going to see a fair amount of Wild West behavior like you have seen since collectives and NIL started. And I still think we got a long way to go before we get to a solution that is both appropriate and practical for student athletes and universities.
What? And I'm glad
curious for your
go
perspective.
Ahead, Julia.
Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say.
Please, Kelly. Sorry.
Quickly as a follow-up, Casey, what might that look like? Because a lot of people are extremely confused by the new system. But is there anything that for you would be more sensible?
Yeah, look, they should be confused because it's confusing. The answer has to be federal legislation. You cannot have every state deciding what their rules are for compensation for student athletes, how the NIL system works, what are collectives allowed to do, are they allowed to exist, what does it mean to have a salary cap, if you will, what does this clearinghouse have the authority to do? And so there has to be at some point federal legislation to resolve this across the country for all student athletes and all universities.
Casey, I want to make sure to get your perspective on sports streaming. We're hearing increasing reports that Apple is going to be getting those F1 rights. We have YouTube exclusively streaming one of the first NFL games of the season coming up. We're seeing so much fragmentation of sports and media. What does this all mean for your clients and the media business as a whole, where it's more complicated to figure out where you can watch the sport that you want to watch?
Well, I think one of the unintended consequences of the dismantling of the bundle is we've lost the guide. When there is a bundle, you have a universal way to find out what and where things are on. And so that needs to be solved for because it's not fan-friendly. The technology companies leaning into sports is a very simple thing, which is sports is unique and predictable in terms of its audience. And that is very rare in the media world. And so YouTube having a football game, F1 going to Apple, if that's in fact what happens, they know what their audience is. They know no one else can have those live rights. And there's a lot of value to be created in that. In the end, the more value that accretes in the system, athletes are gross revenue participants. So in the end, growing the pie is good for everybody, and athletes directly participate in that.
Well, we'll have to leave it there, but the growing the pie is certainly the story, as a lot of folks here in Sun Valley look at the value of those sports rights. Casey Wasserman, CEO of Wasserman, as well as head of LA 2028. Thanks so much for joining us here in Sun Valley. John, back over to you.